For the majority of us, the world today appears hardly recognizable. It feels as though the world has lost a crucial family member, its beloved, respected grandmother, and mourns as such. Most of us haven't experienced a Great Britain or a Commonwealth that isn't under the unwavering leadership of Elizabeth II. She was born into a world that was still reeling from the First World War, and that, just weeks after her birth, was devastated by the Wall Street crash. Despite this, she endured and lived a life that would live on in the memories of people of all ages. The following is a list of things related to the Queen, which, along with her presence, will be deeply missed by the world. Our video today is a tribute to the Queen. Number 30. Her neon ensembles. She needs to stand out for the people to be able to say, "I saw the Queen," Sophie said in the documentary The Queen at 90. Don't forget that when she turns up somewhere, the crowds are 2, 3, 4, 10, 15 deep, and someone wants to be able to say they saw a bit of the Queen's hat as she went past. Her brightly colored, blocky outfits actually had a far more sensible and touching real purpose. According to her daughter-in-law Sophie, Countess of Wessex, members of the public could catch sight of her through the crowds. Number 29. Her mimicry. Elizabeth frequently gave off the idea of having a serious temperament, and many people have commented on her poker face. But those who knew her said that in private settings, she had a cheeky sense of humor and a gift for a mimicry. Former Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams, has suggested that the Queen could be extremely funny in private, and not everybody appreciates how funny she can be. Bishop Michael Mann, the monarch's domestic chaplain, once said that the Queen imitating the Concorde landing is one of the funniest things you could see. The priest and politician from Northern Ireland, Ian Paisley, also said that Elizabeth was a great mimicker of him. More recently, she displayed her playful side during the celebrations for the Platinum Jubilee, when she appeared in a comedy film with an animated Paddington bear and talked about keeping marmalade sandwiches hidden in her purse. Number 28. The Queen's go-to jewelry. Queen Elizabeth II was passionate about her jewelry. The Williamson brooch, made from a pink diamond given to her as a wedding gift by Canadian geologist John Thorburn Williamson, was a must-have accessory. 203 white diamonds from Williamson's mine in what is now Tanzania were eventually handed to her, and the entire collection was utilized to create her jonquil-shaped ornament. Number 27. Her love for dogs. All of us have seen the iconic pictures of Queen Elizabeth II and her lovable corgis, but do you know how much she really adored corgis? According to the New York Times, she was given Susan as a birthday gift when she became 18 years old. At least 30 Pembroke Welsh corgis, all descended from Susan, had been owned by her. The most recent, named Willow, passed away in April 2018. She also had owned other breeds, most notably Dorgies, a cross between Dachshunds and Corgis, which the royal family has bred. Number 26. Her iconic handbag. When you're a queen, you shouldn't actually need to carry a handbag because you have employees who are there to serve you. According to reports, she only used to carry necessities like a lipstick, mirror, and other requirements. Therefore, the major function of her bag was to communicate with her staff secretly. Her luggage falling to the ground was a scream for aid from a lady-in-waiting to stop a horrible discussion from happening. She used to want the dinner to end quickly, when she would leave her purse on the table during the meal. Number 25. Her hatred for garlic. Garlic is one item that always stayed out of the Queen's menu. Her Majesty wasn't choosy, although she detested garlicky cuisine and anything with too much onion, according to her former royal cook Darren McGrady, who spoke to Recipes Plus. The royal family avoids using garlic because they don't want to have foul breath when they have to meet and greet, as Camilla Parker Bowles later acknowledged on MasterChef Australia. Number 24. Her being surprisingly frugal. Living royally doesn't have to mean over-the-top extravagance. In addition to enjoying special case cereals and leftovers, Queen Elizabeth II practiced waste minimization and preferred to repair and reuse items like blankets and gloves rather than throwing them away. She is renowned for outfit recycling, or repurposing her garments. not just for casual outfits, but also for some of her more recognizable ones. She even wore her coronation gown 6 times. Number 23. Her fascination for horses. Being a skilled rider, horses has been a constant in Queen Elizabeth's life since she was of a very young age. She adored horses so much that she even donated a broodmare to her son Prince Charles as a wedding present. Number 22. The Queen's love for morning tea. Queen Elizabeth started her day with a cup of Earl Grey tea. Like many of the British, she took her tea sans sugar, but didn't mind a little milk. Number 21. Her fond snacking. Every day, Elizabeth received jam sandwiches with her afternoon tea. Jam is simply put on buttered white bread and then cut into circles for these delights, sometimes known as jam pennies. Although hardly the healthiest food, the Queen reportedly enjoyed them. And according to nutritionists, enjoying pleasures in moderation, rather than completely avoiding them, is the key to leading a healthy lifestyle. This was successful for the Queen since each of her preferred sandwiches, which measure approximately an inch across, was given the nickname pennies. Number 20. Her sense of humor. Elizabeth was famous for having a wicked sense of humor and was frequently captured in photographs laughing. Her love of a good joke has been the subject of numerous stories from close friends and acquaintances. For example, when a tourist told her that she looked a lot like the Queen, she retorted, "Well, that's reassuring." One of her former bodyguards described an incident where some visitors to Balmoral Estate didn't recognize the monarch, since she was covering her head at the time. Elizabeth was asked if the group had ever met the Queen. "No," Elizabeth reportedly responded. Then she pointed to a nearby policeman and said, "But he has." Number 19. The way she enjoyed nature. Elizabeth loved gardening and going for walks outside, and she was frequently captured doing both when touring garden exhibitions. Number 18. Her purposeful work. Serving the people of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth was Queen Elizabeth's life work. She genuinely loved what she did. Her walkabouts, or travels where she interacted with people from all over the world, made her renowned. These interests probably contributed to her long life. The value of endurance, to wake up and keep trying no matter what, may be the most significant health and life lesson we can learn from Queen Elizabeth's 96 years. She said, "When life seems hard, the courageous do not lie down and accept defeat. Instead, they are all the more determined to struggle for a better future." Number 17. Her habit of eating bananas with a knife and fork. Her Majesty used to eat her bananas with a knife and fork at the dining table to avoid appearing like a monkey. She reportedly used a knife to cut the top and bottom half of the fruit before slicing it into small pieces and eating it with utensils. Number 16. Her zeal to work. Since 1952, the Queen had maintained a demanding schedule that entailed numerous public appearances annually, many of them just around Christmas, and hours of daily duties. According to Kozlowski, she used to receive a sizable red box full of paperwork every day, including legislative reports, intelligence reports, and other papers, and she spent around 3 hours sorting through it all. Additionally, she never stopped learning and enjoying new things. Number 15. Her healthy fitness routine. Elizabeth II had long incorporated physical activity into her daily life, although without adhering to a regular workout regimen. She also only engaged in the activities she found most enjoyable, which included horseback riding and taking regular, if not necessarily brisk, walks. She strolled across the gardens at Buckingham Palace in the late afternoons with her corgis. Number 14. Her never worrying too much about being liked. If you watch The Crown, you've probably seen the Queen put the needs of the Crown and the country above her own family. The Queen had learned to stop worrying so much about being liked because she was constantly required to make difficult judgments that weren't always welcomed. Number 13. The carefree way she embraced age. While most of us struggle with loving ourselves, Queen Elizabeth II accepted herself at every age during her nearly 70 years on the throne. She was never one to succumb to vanity and was unconcerned with tiny changes in health or the appearance of wrinkles. Aging naturally has ensured that her iconic image has become a record, a living archive of accumulated experience and vast wisdom, not an artificial rewind of lessons hard won, Kozlowski writes in his book. She maintained a timeless look, no matter what. Aging well is highly individualized, and Elizabeth II had grown lighter and more full of life with each passing year, Kozlowski shares. Number 12. Not letting life's drama get her down. Over the years, the Queen had to deal with several royal scandals, but at least on the outside, she presented herself as dependable and unflappable. Some people thought Elizabeth displayed too little emotion, but her level of restraint is a taught quality and obligations of living in the public eye. Learning coping mechanisms for stress and the drama that life occasionally brings can help you feel less anxious and prevent feeling overwhelmed. The Queen embodies resilience, in Medina Walpole's words. Number 11. Being kind to everyone. The royal family may conjure images of stiff upper lips. However, Queen Elizabeth II had consistently shown empathy, modesty, respect for others, and kindness. She had most likely remained a monarch and a symbol of resilience for so long because she listens more than she speaks and looks for the good in others, as friends do. Number 10. Her overseas trips. Since ascending to the throne, Queen Elizabeth has taken at least 260 formal trips abroad. According to the Telegraph, the Queen attended 341 royal engagements in 2015, which is more than Prince Harry, Prince William, and Kate combined. Number 9. Her favorite nail polish. It seems that the Queen was particularly impressed by Ballet Slipper, a $7 classic pale pink Essie nail paint. According to Essie, the hairdresser for Queen Elizabeth requested a bottle of the traditional color in a letter to nail polish tycoon Essie Weingarten in 1989. The monarch insisted on wearing only one hue. Number 8. Her timetable. The Queen flourished when her days were structured around predictable patterns, like many highly productive people. She created a daily routine early in her rule that had seldom changed throughout the years, starting at 7:30 a.m. with a wake-up cup of Earl Grey and extending usually to 11 p.m. with journaling and prayers before bed. One of the secrets to how she has managed to stay sane while being so insanely busy was her timetable, as she called it. Contrary to what is commonly believed, routines really freed up the Queen's day and enabled her to carve out significant time for herself, including quiet moments of relaxation that she would have never found time for if they were not firmly built into her schedule. The Queen served as a timely reminder that setting boundaries for our day can paradoxically be quite liberating. Number 7. Her ability to adapt to changing times. The Queen used Twitter but didn't use a phone in public. The Queen learned as a young girl that the ability of the crown to change and advance with the times was one of its greatest qualities. Kings or queens in the past who fought change later regretted it, and one even lost his head. Therefore, the Queen remembered that history lesson very well, leading the crown through more startling changes than any monarch in British history, whether it had been political, cultural, social, or technological. Number 6. The Queen's thinking about and preparing for her own death. The Queen had been planning the details of her funeral, a momentous occasion she wouldn't even be there for, twice a year for more than 60 years. Death rehearsals were a normal part of royal life, in spite of the fact that we have become quite adept at evading our own death as a civilization. This may seem a little gruesome and creepy to you. It was the secret to her tremendously successful existence. The world's finest thinkers and faiths emphasize that daily contemplation on our ultimate departure from this life is essential for guiding our choices of how to live. Number 5. Her love for gin cocktails. The Queen's love of gin was so intense that she created her own gins at Sandringham House and Buckingham Palace, using ingredients from each location's gardens. She preferred to sip them in a fine gin cocktail, such as gin and Dubonnet or a gin martini. Number 4. Her love for crustless tea sandwiches. Afternoon tea in Britain has its origins in the 1840s, even when the Duchess of Bedford requested a light meal to fill the time between lunch and dinner. Every day, Queen Elizabeth would consume tea, and it was well known that she enjoyed dainty sandwiches with the crusts removed. Smoked salmon with cream cheese was said to be her favorite variation. Number 3. Her game meats and wild-caught fish dinners. According to the proverb, one should have a kingly breakfast, a princely lunch, and a pauperly dinner. Elizabeth the Queen appeared to have taken this to heart, as she ate light dinners at night that included simple proteins and vegetables. Being an avid hunter and fisherwoman, Queen Elizabeth frequently dined on venison, wild birds, or other game, often from one of her holdings, or salmon caught at Balmoral Castle from the River Dee. The Queen apparently enjoyed hamburgers made with venison, and her taste for game foods even extended to more casual dinners. At her evening meal, she typically omitted any potatoes, pasta, or grains, but almost always had room for dessert. Number 2. Her elegance. Elizabeth's father, King George VI, had previously investigated the importance of clothing and image-making with fruitful results. In an effort to regain public confidence following his brother Edward VIII's abdication to wed the twice-divorced American Wallis Simpson, he invited designer Norman Hartnell to look through the art collection at Buckingham Palace for ideas. The king ordered clothes for his wife and daughters that emphasized the traditions of the Victorian age, and as a result, the stability, while the affluent Simpson wore the most recent trends. Hartnell presented 9 potential designs for the coronation gown, and the young queen chose his 8th, which included scalloped embroidered tiers broidered with pearls, diamante, and gold bugle beads. This information is revealed in notes from the Royal Collection Trust. There were certainly top fashion notes for day wear, but they were added as embellishments. Archival photographs from her reign demonstrate how she seamlessly incorporated fashion trends from each decade, including the nipped-in waists of the 1950s, the shorter skirt lengths, sleeveless dresses, and pillbox hats of the 1960s, and the turbans and striking designs of the 1970s. Who could forget the Queen's power clothing during the 1980s in vibrant hues? Later in life, Elizabeth became known as the Queen of the frock coat, dress, and matching hat in vivid hues, including fuchsia, orange, scarlet, and purple. Number 1. Her famous waving of hands. The Queen's signature wave was a much slower, more deliberate motion that helped lessen wrist aches and strains. According to Victoria Arbiter, a royal critic, it also adds an air of class and you can recognize a royal wave immediately. It's a vertical hand with a slight twist from the wrist, a classy affair that oozes decorum but doesn't get too excitable. And there you have it, folks, a list of the things we will miss the most from one of the greatest rulers this world has ever seen. May she rest in peace.